Continuing now with the Halachot of Muktzeh, we've practically covered the main topics. So I thought we'll spend a few days just summarizing and reviewing some of the klalim, different rules that we've learned out from the Halachot of Muktzeh. We'll start right now very quickly. First and foremost, Negiyah Muktzeh Na'anu'o and Kisuya. What about touching Muktzeh, moving it and covering it? How does this fall into the place? So we've explained briefly earlier on, but it's important to understand that the prohibition of touching Muktzeh isn't necessarily touching it, but it's rather moving it. Not just lifting it up fully, also moving it a little bit also is included in the prohibition of Muktzeh. Even if the Muktzeh item stays in its place, the problem will still be moving it slightly and having it move. However, you're allowed to touch Muktzeh without moving it. So the classic example everyone always gives is a car. Let's say, obviously the car alarm shouldn't go on and doors should be closed, but let's say, can I lean on a car? So touching a car is Muktzeh, but touching it doesn't move it. So in theory, you can lean on a car. If it doesn't move the car, that's fine. It's no problem of sitting on it. Rav Vaida explains also, therefore you're allowed to cover a Muktzeh with another kli to protect it from it getting broken or something, as long as you're careful not to move it while you do that. Even if you touch it to protect it, as long as you're not moving this Muktzeh. Unless it wobbles easily, then you should be careful. But the idea is the prohibition of Muktzeh is only when you're physically moving it, but touching it is not a problem. What about hana'ah Muktzeh? What about getting hana'ah, deriving pleasure from Muktzeh? Halacha explains, "En shum isur lehenot b'Shabbat mina Muktzeh." There's no prohibition inherently to derive hana'ah, benefit from Muktzeh. For example, to sit on a rock that it didn't designate to be sat on. We said a rock, it won't move. It's a big boulder in the driveway or in the park. You're walking through the park. You're allowed to sit on the rock as long as the rock's not going to move. It's not a problem. It's the same idea that I mentioned earlier about a car. Rather, you have to be careful that I don't move the rock and position it, because then it's a problem of moving Muktzeh. But sitting on it in its own place is fine. But something that's set aside, that's prohibited because of a mitzvah, like what? Like kegon atzei sukkah v'nuya, like the branches of the sukkot or its different decorations. Asur gam hana'ah. Those two you can't have hana'ah from on Muktzeh because it's something Muktzeh mechad mitzvah. And lastly, what about blowing? Tiltul beruach piv. If someone wants to blow Muktzeh, Rabbi writes, mutar tatat Muktzeh ayed neshifat ruach bepiv. Shein zeh bichlal isur tiltul. Blowing something is not considered actually moving it with your hands, and if someone has a scenario that they need to move something with this Muktzeh by blowing it, they may do so. It's not a problem. It doesn't fall into this category. Have a wonderful day.